Hello, Bob DiPiero.
Hello, Caroline Hobby.
You got it right. Because you knew he was Caroline Cutbirth.
I did know you as Caroline Cutbirth, and now I know you as Caroline Cutbirth Hobby.
Correctamundo. So this is a fun day and a fun way to start this interview because I got to hear the song you just wrote with Fancy.
With Fancy and Ian Keggy.
And it's called Dirty
Love.
Dirty Love. And it lives up to that title.
No, actually, it's just called Dirty. But
It's basically like, don't love me unless it's dirty.
don't want your love unless it's dirty.
So is that a hookup song?
Well, yeah. It is, but it's also, I don't know. You know, it's a very sexual song, but it's also about, I just want it all.
Right. Where do you get your inspiration? Like, where does a song like that come up? Do you walk in and be like, okay, I want to write about hooking up, but you don't have to stick around?
You know, it would surprise you where that came from. It came from some deep conversation that I was having, you know.
That happens.
With my wife Leslie. And it was a very serious conversation. And
What was it about?
well, it was about being honest with each other and being just letting it out.
Like sexually?
Everything.
Hi, Leslie.
Oh, sorry.
Leslie, come say hi. We're talking about you.
Oh, hi.
Come on, we're
Come say
talking
hello
about
on
you,
this
Leslie.
podcast. We're talking about how Dirty was inspired by you guys.
Well, I was telling her it was inspired by a conversation we had that was not, it was serious. It was a serious conversation.
Yes, I'm not a dirty girl. I'm an adventurous girl. But there's a
That's right.
difference.
There's a
But
difference.
listen, to keep a marriage spicy, you have to stay adventurous.
Well, she's that. She's
Well, I can
adventurous.
tell. By the way, anyone listening, Leslie Tomasina, her name is Leslie Tomasina DiPiero now, is smoking hot. Bob has
Yes, she
a
is.
rockin' hot wife. And she was just in the Vagina Monologues in Nashville.
And you were there.
And it was-
You were in the vagina audience.
And I was
You were
laughing.
being a
I
vagina.
was in
You
I
were
was
a model.
I was in the vagina.
I never knew how much I loved vaginas until I saw you in it. All vaginas.
We have vagina crushes on each other.
There you go.
Do you need to tell Bob something?
Well, I was going to tell him I got to go because I'm
Oh.
running over to another client.
Well, I'll see you when you get home.
Yeah, I'd have a fabulous time.
Look how cute you guys are.
We have our moment.
We have our moments.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right,
get
well,
that dirty love ready for when he's home. Okay, so it's inspired by a conversation.
Yeah, and I
That's
mean,
how songs are usually they come about. You have to get really deep.
but that's, I mean, what's interesting about co-writing is that the subject matter might mean something to me that's totally different from what it means to my co-writer.
Right.
You know, where maybe Fancy was just thinking about some dirty love, you know.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this other thing, but, you know, you put the minds together and something bigger shows up, you know.
So we're sitting here in this room. We're calling it the bunker, which is your studio.
The bunker.
And literally wall to wall of songs that you have written, like huge freaking hits. You've had 15 number ones?
Yes.
15 number one songs. Let me throw some of those out there. American Made by Oak Ridge Boys. That was your first number one song?
My first number one song, 1983.
That's when I was born.
I was 13.
Wow.
No, I wasn't 13. You were born in then? I'm so old.
No, you're not.
So old.
So, okay, you're from a steel manufacturing center of Youngstown, Ohio.
Youngstown, Ohio. What
Did you-
used to be.
Did your family work in steel?
No. Believe it or not, we were one of the very few families who didn't. My dad actually was a foot doctor, a podiatrist.
Really?
Yes, he was a foot doctor. And my mom was a housewife. She was a stay-at-home housewife.
Okay, so how did you discover this love of music? Because you also went to music college.
I did.
Yeah.
You know,
And you were in hard rock bands.
yes, or rock bands. I mean, I went through a series of bands, you know. But it started out, you know, like so many people of my age, my vintage, seeing the Beatles on TV for the first time.
And you said, I got to do that?
That was it. I was
Really?
blinded by the light. I mean, it was just like, okay, I want to do that.
What about that excited you?
Well, the music was more like magic to me at the time. You know, it's just, how do they do that? And they were smiling, and girls were screaming at them.
Girls.
Of course, of course.
Always for the girls, isn't it?
Red-blooded American male, yes. And it was that, and so like everybody else, I bought a guitar and went into the garage with my brother and some of his friends, and we had this not really good band, you know, and we played Beatles songs, and it just never stopped for me.
Did you sing, or did you just? Or did
Yeah,
you play?
I sang. I
Were you the lead
started
singer?
out here. I'm going to tell you something you don't know.
Tell me.
I started out as a roadie.
No way.
I think I was the first official roadie ever.
Really? For your band, or for your brother's band?
Yeah, my brother's band. They had gotten a New Year's Eve gig.
Okay.
I wasn't playing in that band, but I so wanted to play in it. We were so young that none of us drove.
Oh wow.
So the drummer's dad came over to pick my brother up. And while we were waiting for him to show up, my brother was like, you can't go. He's really like,
What an ass.
That's
Older-
a whole.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's going, you can't, you're not going to go. You're not going to go. And Ralph Desmond was the drummer's name. His dad showed up, and he opened the door, came in the house, and goes, ready, Donnie? Yep. How about you, Bobby? You ready? I'm not going. Well, why not? Well, Don said I couldn't go. Well, of course you can go. Come on. And my brother's like, damn, shit. And I just, yahoo!
Took the open opportunity.
Took the open opportunity, and I just jumped in there. And
So you started being the roadie. Eventually got asked to be in the band.
no. I eventually, while I was a roadie, I eventually picked up a tambourine,
Okay.
and I would kind of play it off to the side, you know, and I'd inch up a little bit more.
you inched
into
your
the
way in.
I totally inched my way in. It's the story of my life.
Hey, but I mean, Bob, it's not like there's a whole lot of options in this steel town of Ohio,
No,
right?
no, there wasn't. But I was just in this.
You're the younger brother, though, right?
I'm the younger brother, and I just had to be involved.
Had to.
I just had to be involved. So I was practicing guitar and doing all this stuff, and I just had to be involved. And
So that was,
so I got into a band. I got into that band, and
then you went to the music college. Did
right.
your band ever get any success, or was that just like the gateway drug into the rest of
Well,
your life?
It was kind of a gateway drug, but that band went through several incarnations, and my brother and I were playing together. And then we started yet another band with the same Ralph I was telling you about, and another Ralph. We had Ralph and Ralph.
Did you call yourself the Ralphs?
We should have.
I know.
Oh, we weren't smart enough
I
to
know.
think of that.
Too bad.
So much smarter.
So you go to college
Go to college.
after this band, and do you start really studying music?
Yes. I mean, the band, you asked me if we had any success. We got hooked up with a lead singer
Okay.
who was also from Youngstown, but he was older than us. And somehow he'd gotten some kind of fakakta record deal from this very unknown label called Paula Records in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
And so somehow they didn't want a solo singer. They wanted a band. So he said, Art, you're my band. And so we flew down to Shreveport, Louisiana and started recording. And nothing really came of it except I started to see.
You scratched the itch.
I scratched. Oh, man. I got a big old dose of it. And I loved every minute of it. So came back and Youngstown State University, which is where I went and where I graduated from, had a small part of that school called the Dana School of Music.
Okay.
And I was just, to be honest, I was just trying to stay out of the Army because they had the draft back then. And I was not into what was happening, you know, so I just hung on to my draft deferment by going to school, and I'm going, well, I'm here. I love music. And so I started taking music courses, and I was like so many musicians, I couldn't really read music,
Right.
hardly at all. But I had I had developed an ear so that I could hear something and I could play it back. So I would fake a lot of, yeah, I'm reading this, but I just heard it, and I could get pretty close to it. And so, yeah, I went there and I started taking really traditional theory and harmony. It's not like what we know today, like Belmont offers here, just very contemporary music business, recording arts, all that stuff. It was just a real basic traditional theory and harmony course, and I played in the jazz band there, and I studied classical guitar, and I sucked at classical guitar because I'd sit there and start practicing these studies, and about 20 minutes in, I'd be writing a song.
So that's when you discovered songwriting.
Yeah,
It just flow out naturally.
Yeah, I mean, songwriting came from, for me, being in a band. Everything sprung from being in a band because my heroes at the time were the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and I'd read all their album covers, and I'd look, and it was Lennon McCartney, Jagger Richards, and I went, oh, these guys write their own songs.
So that's what you wanted to do.
So, well, if you're in a band, you write your own songs. Okay, I'm going to write my own songs.
Were you good at writing songs in the beginning?
I don't know. No, I mean, I guess I could see that I knew.
You had a knack for it.
I knew how it went.
Okay.
I knew how the structure went, and I was really good at seeing images in my head.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, just stories.
Like you could see the full picture in your head?
Kind of,
like
sort of. Or it would, to me, I always describe it as like a piece of DNA, like what they do now. They can clone a sheep from one little piece of DNA.
Right.
Like, if I just got a title, that's somewhere that I can grow the song from. Or if I just got a little guitar part, well, that's another part I can grow the song from. Or we're talking about something and I get a feeling, well, that's another piece of DNA that I can grow a song from.
So you have a wild imagination.
I have a wild imagination.
Seriously?
I have a very wild imagination.
Like, you can grow a whole song from a tiny little nugget.
I guess that's the best way to describe it, yeah. I guess it is.
You just need a touch of inspiration, then you can grow it.
Yes, I always say I pray. When I pray, I don't pray for a hit song. I pray for inspiration.
Okay.
I always say, God, just give me the inspiration. I'll do all the heavy lifting.
That's amazing.
It's what I've done all this time. I mean, I have friends and they've got like the secret recipe to Coke that they just keep churning out. But for me, it's always.
Here, Bob, I'm looking around. I think you have that secret recipe.
I guess. I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. It's always a new feeling.
But I think that's the sign of a true person who's not. You're not satisfied with all you've accomplished. Like, you're still hungry for it. Like, even though you are in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, which is huge, you've had 15 number ones. Like, how many top 10s did you have?
I don't know.
I know. I do.
Honest to God, I don't know.
You've written over 1,000 songs that have been cut by artists.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's stupid.
I've written too many songs. Is what
No, that's crazy. You have a star on the Songwriters Walk of Fame, Nashville's Walk of Fame, in between Jimi Hendrix and Barbara Mandrell.
Which I always said pretty much is exactly where I'm at, somewhere between Jimi Hendrix and Barbara Mandrell.
I love that.
Well.
So, okay, you're in this band, you start writing songs, you go to school, you keep continuing your craft. What is the moment where you're like, I'm moving to Nashville to be a songwriter?
I was in college. I was playing in bands at night. I was giving guitar lessons in the late afternoon to pay the rent. And I had some neighbors who lived in an apartment where I was living, and they were also songwriters. But they were really songwriters. And they started talking about going to Nashville. So I heard this, why would you go to Nashville?
So it was not on your radar.
Not at all. I mean, I knew 0 - 0 about country music. Honest honestly. I don't remember any country radio stations up there, or maybe I just didn't want to hear it. I only listened to top 40 radio and rock and roll. That's what I listened to, and so to make a living, sometimes I'd go to the only recording studio in Youngstown, which was this polka studio. Youngstown is very well known for their polka bands.
Oh, can you play polka?
If I had to. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like polka, but actually there's many Grammy winners come from Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay, because it's
doing
a big
polka.
Polka, okay.
Who knew?
Fun fact.
There's a fun fact right there.
Uh-huh. Well, and you're close to the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like trickling down in the Ohio area.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely trickled down. And during all this time, I would go out to the bars at night and listen to the rock and roll bands. And I saw Bob Seger playing in clubs.
Really?
And I would see the James Gang with Joe Walsh playing in clubs. And I'd come home and I'd go, I'm so screwed. If every little town like Youngstown has got guys like that, I got no chance. But it really informed me what excellent really was.
So you started off seeing great right away.
Yeah, I did. And it really was. Well, Aunt Mimi thinks you're really good, and that makes you feel good. But what is good, And even going to school and learning the true theory and harmony informed me what was really exceptional. So I got that in my head. Okay, that's what exceptional is. Joe Walsh is exceptional. Bob Seger is really, really good,
Did you, from the beginning, put pressure on yourself to be one of the greats? Is that the category that you were striving for? Is that the company that you, nothing below that great status would work? Is that where you set your bar?
I wish I would say yes, but I was just floating in the music. I didn't have, I'm going to be Elvis Presley. It really wasn't like that. I just wanted to play music.
Okay.
And I wanted to be in a band. And I saw those guys, and all I would think was, man, wouldn't it be great to be like that? Would it be so great? And I would just get this in my mind and think about it and dream it. So I guess I dreamed it. And my dad always said that I had delusions of grandeur. He would, I'd say, Dad, I'm going to go down, I'm going to write these songs. And he's going, you have delusions of grandeur. This is going to burn out and you're going to finally get a job. And I go, what are you talking about? And as time went on, these delusions of grandeur became reality.
So, okay, speaking of that, your friends are in college. They're saying, we're going to Nashville. You're like, what the heck is Nashville? What's country music? You start hearing about it. You're like, okay, I'm coming with you.
They moved.
Okay.
They said, we're going. They weren't college guys. They were just street guys.
Okay.
And they said, we're moving to Nashville to be songwriters and artists. There were two guys, and they wanted to be a duo. They wanted to be the Everly Brothers or something. And so I kept in contact with them, and I decided, and I honestly say this, I knew my car would not make it to L.A., but I knew it could make it to Nashville.
You should write that song.
I know.
Actually, that's a great visual. You need inspiration?
All
That's
right.
a good inspiration.
I mean, I had gone to New York City to try and peddle this album we made, and it just, I'm not being honest, it just totally overwhelmed me. I was just,
you weren't ready
19, 20, and it was just like, whoa.
That's a lot.
Wasn't ready for it. But, and then in the meantime, I had started writing songs, and I would trade out time with the only studio in Youngstown. I would say, you have a bread commercial? Okay, I'll write your bread commercial, and you give me the studio from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning.
Way.
And that's what I would do. I'd go in there and record these. I'd record his bread commercial, and then I'd record these songs I was writing, and those were the songs that I brought to Nashville.
Was American Made in that batch?
It was not in that batch. No, none of those songs. None of the songs you're describing was in that batch.
Let me give you a little rundown really fast of some of the number one
Yes.
songs that Bob DiPiero has written. American Made, Oak Ridge Boys. Wink, Neil McCoy. Oh my God, I love that song. Blue Clear Sky, George Strait. Oh my God, love it. Daddy's Money, Ricochet, Worlds Apart, Vince Gill. That Rock Won't Roll, Restless Heart. Little Rock by Reba. Do You Love Me? Just Say Yes, Highway 101. Church on Cumberland Road, Shenandoah. Money in the Bank, John Anderson. Take Me As I Am, Faith Hill. Oh my gosh, I love that song.
I love that song.
Till You Love Me, Reba, They're Playing Our Song, Neil McCoy, If You Ever Stop Loving Me, Montgomery Gentry, Southern Voice, Tim McGraw. I mean, number one songs. You've had 15 number one songs. That's not even your top 10 songs, which I won't even go through all those because I think you have over like, how many top 10s do you have? How many top 20s?
Caroline, I couldn't tell you. I'm not that kind of guy that goes, well, you know what? I have 30 top 20s. I have 22 top 18s. I've got 7 top 5s. I know how many number ones I have. And after that, I'm not counting. It's like, yes, I like number one songs. Number one songs are great. I love to get more of them, you know. But I'm just
Inspiration. Looking for inspiration every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not about counting the number ones or and it's not about what happened. To me, it's always about what's going to happen.
So you do not live in the past.
No, and it really pains me when I see a lot of my contemporaries who do.
Living off their past achievements.
Well, yeah.
Not that they shouldn't be saluted.
No, they should be saluted, but I mean, well, back when I was having my big success, music was so much better. This music sucks now. You know, it's like, come on, man. You know, there's good everywhere, and there's bad everywhere, you know, and they kind of get caught in that space, you know, but I've always wanted to just move forward, you know.
And I saw that you said you always want to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Because you have. How have you done that? And what is your secret for staying relevant?
I just try to keep a student's heart. You know, a student is always learning. And just if I ever think I know it, then I'm screwed.
That is true.
Because to me, to be relevant, you have to always be learning. Everything is always changing. The language changes. You know, how we speak today in 2016 is not how we spoke in 1983 or 93 or 2000.
So you've had a career since 1983.
Well, actually, my first song I ever had enter the charts was Reba McEntire's song called I Can See Forever in Your Eyes that I wrote by myself.
What?
And it was like 1982 or 81 or 82.
Gosh.
And yeah, it surprises me, but you know, you learn the language of music. You know, in music, there's only so many chords, especially in country music. It's like primary colors as far as the harmony and the melodies, you know. You get to other types of music, and there's pale blue, and there's smoky, dusty rose.
That's so true.
Youngstown, in country music, they're very primary. But within those primary colors are so many alternatives. And that's what keeps it fresh for me. And I also love working with the new kids in town.
You do?
I love it.
What do you love about it?
It informs my mind. It informs my brain. It informs my musicianship. It informs my tech brain. You know, it's just, okay, that's what these guys are thinking about. And okay, that's how we're speaking now. And, oh, this is the gear that's really working, you know. Although I still, if I followed everybody, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
You know, I follow myself.
I take little tidbits.
Yeah, I learn. You know, I write with Craig Wiseman, I'm learning. You know, if I write with Fancy, I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know, if I write with someone of that stature, I'm learning when I'm writing.
How amazing. Because a lot of people with your kind of success might be like, I'm the big wig. I'm the alpha of this co-write. You know?
And
sometimes you are.
And it works for that.
Yes.
For those people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool, but I've always tried to offer writers who might look upon me as the big kahuna a welcoming space.
And,
and
you
hey,
have
look,
that
we're
energy.
we're both staring at the same blank page here. We're both starting nowhere.
Yeah.
Let's go somewhere together.
So you come in with just no ego, and
I try not to.
Yeah.
If someone starts egoing out on me, and it really rarely happens, I can be a big egoed out jerk if I need to be. I can. But I don't like me as that, and I don't choose to be that.
I love that. Okay, so you got to Nashville because your car wouldn't make it to California. When did you show up in Nashville? What
I
year?
started making trips. I started making trips to Nashville like 2 years before I moved to Nashville. I came down to visit my buddies. Then I came down again, and I brought some songs with me. And I started just what everybody else who's ever made it or who's ever gotten the music business does. Knocked on doors.
You knocked on doors.
Oh, literally.
You went up and down Music Row.
Literally.
Knocked on doors.
I would knock
Were
on
you
doors.
Embarrassed or scared?
No.
What were you?
I was going to be in the music business.
So you had no nervousness about that?
No.
Brave thing to do.
Honestly, after getting through music school, which I had no business being in, and actually graduating and being under that much pressure and that much scrutiny, and after seeing all these great artists who went on to become icons, I wasn't afraid. I was like, I want this.
You got to get there. You're on a time frame. You got to go.
I was thrilled just to be here, but I had to get somewhere. So, nobody sent for me.
What are you talking about, Bob?
People say, Chet Atkins didn't call me up and say, Bob, we really need an Italian hillbilly down here,
No one came calling for you?
I just showed up, and I was a rock and roll guitar player, and I literally had zero knowledge of country music. So many people say, oh, well, look at all these guys today moving here from L.A., and all they're pop guys. They're just track guys. I wonder if they're going to have a track guy Hall of Fame, And they're just these young guys, and they think they know everything. Well, I was that young guy who thought I knew everything. And I was a rock guy, and they needed some rock. They needed some life in country music, and I was the guy to bring it to them.
You were here. You are.
You
have arrived.
So I did. I would literally walk up and down the street.
Do you think you dazzled people with your confidence? Do you think they gave you a shot because you were so confident?
I don't know. I wasn't like, get a load of this. It's like, wow, am I glad to be here? And man, am I glad you're talking to me? And here's some songs I really like. And I was being honest.
So how'd you get your first big break? Before the cut, first big number one, how'd you get your break into the country music industry?
Well, I had moved here, and I was making my living in Nashville being a guitar teacher, teaching guitar to kids after school, and, they'd show up, I want to learn Back in Black. But then I got hold of a Billboard magazine that said, Combine Music, looking to expand its pop arm. And I went, oh, I'm pop. So I was not affiliated with BMI, but I had met someone from BMI, Jerry Smith, and so I called him up and I said, hey, Jerry, I'd really like to talk to somebody at Combine Music, because it says right here in the magazine that they're looking to expand their industry bigger than country. And so Jerry made an introduction to Al Cooley, who was the song plugger, the general manager at Combine Music, home of Chris Christopherson at the time, and Larry Gatlin, and blah, blah, Dolly Parton, blah, blah, blah. Very small, independent company. It was not a corporation. And so he made me this this appointment, and I showed up with my tape, and I gave it to Al Cooley, and I'm sitting there, and he plays it, and he goes, hold it, stay right here. And he runs upstairs. I don't know where he's going. Comes back downstairs, and he says, all right, come upstairs with me. And he takes me upstairs, and he takes me in this big office, and there is this guy named Bob Beckham, who was the publisher, the main guy of this publishing, Combine Music. And he kind of had his own language. He was from Oklahoma. I never met anybody from Oklahoma. I'm from Ohio, and he's going, my sting, son, fire. All I could make out that what he was saying was, and we're going to make a lot of money. And he dismissed me.
But he heard your stuff, obviously.
He'd heard it.
And so he thought you had something.
He thought I had something.
And so did he sign you to a publishing deal?
No.
Rude.
He said, you're welcome to come here. You're welcome to come here anytime you want, drink the coffee, hang out. You're welcome to come here. So I was the quintessential hair in a biscuit, man. I was there. And I was hanging, and I was drinking the coffee. And you couldn't get me out of it, man.
He said come. You said, yes, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome to hang out. And
that's all it took.
And luckily, at the time, there were guys like me, guys who had come from different parts of the country who were trying to do a similar thing. They were trying to write. They were trying to figure out, am I an artist? Am I a writer? What am I? All I know is that I love music. And I met like-minded guys. I met Steve Earle there, who has just come to Texas, and he played me Devil's Right Hand right after he wrote it, and I'm like, I'm so screwed. I can't write that, But once again, it informed me about that's what is excellent. I know that. I feel that.
You could tell an excellent song, because I feel like I've been a song plugger and listening to hear what hits are. Sometimes I cannot tell what a hit song is.
Honestly, I can't tell all the time. When I wrote Blue Clear Sky, I liked it. I didn't think it was
George Strait.
Yeah, I didn't think it would ever go to somebody like George Strait, and I never thought it would be the title track of the CMA album of the year. I liked it, and I remember pulling the faders up, going, "Wow, this is a good song," but it never occurred to me this is the #1 smash, because I had other songs
that you thought were better.
I thought were much better, and no one even responded to. But there were certain songs that would just
get you.
Oh man, that is such a hit.
So tell me one that you've written like that.
It's once again, it's hard. It's hard for me to say. I thought Southern Voice
with Tim McGraw.
Yeah, that I wrote with
good.
Tom Douglas was.
And Tom Douglas is stupid good too.
Crazy good, nuts good. I thought it was as good a song as I could humanly write at that point, and I thought it said something that meant something, but had been said differently in a way that had not been said before, and I thought that's really unique and different, and I think it's excellent, and and then we can translate that into Music Row language, which that's a hit.
Yeah.
So I was pretty certain that was a hit song.
And it was.
Yeah, and there have been others. I mean, I really loved the song you mentioned really early in my career, That Rock Won't Roll.
I love that song.
It was just like, oh man, this is so cool.
What a good idea.
Yeah, it was a great idea. And it's a perfect example of keep digging, because I wrote that with John Scott Sherrill, and we had written this song called That Rock Won't Roll. Whole song finished, done. And we went back and listened to it and said, man, there is nothing good about this song except the title. So we just scrapped that whole song.
And that's a brave move, because once you built this little creature that is a song, to throw it away is kind of scary.
Well, it is scary, but I think it's courageous.
You have to know when to hold them.
Yeah,
No
and
one told him.
there's a difference between stupidity and fearlessness. I don't know where that line goes, you know.
Truly.
But I mean, I think we both felt that's such a cool idea that we just scrapped that whole song and started over.
Thank God you did.
And thank God we did. Yeah, I think we once again wrote a song about love, but wrote it in a way that may not have exactly been said like that before.
And you make me think of something interesting. I feel like sometimes on Music Row, people can get into the habit of just showing up at their co-write, working for 4 or 5 hours, calling it a day, and just be like, oh, that's okay, that's good, that's a fine song. When really sometimes you do have to put in the extra effort and really like work harder, because you can get into an easy routine. I feel like, not you in particular, but songwriters.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, writers that hit that sweet spot in their career, it's like they can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they're writing is getting recorded or getting listened to, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, it's 5 o'clock, I'm leaving now, and fully expecting this song to be recorded or looked at, you know, and that's a portion of a career right there. But I know what you're saying, but I think some songs don't need to be reworked or rewritten. They are just Blue Clear Sky. We never changed a word, never changed a note of melody. It was as it was written.
Do you feel like those are gifts?
Oh, shoot, yeah, absolutely. I think in the creative process there's talent that's involved, and there's when you become, you know, I always said that a trained SEAL can write one number one song, but to write 3, 4, 5 and beyond, something's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that is talent. I think it's just perseverance. You know, I think it's expecting a miracle.
Yeah.
You know, and luck is involved. Cannot say that that's not part of it. Or some people might call it my better angels, or it's my luck. But something helps.
Do you feel like you have to be open to receiving that extra help?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm a spiritual person. I have a problem with organized religion, but I feel it. I believe.
Yeah, and songs are magical.
Yeah, and it really, I think Keith Richards in his book really described, at least to me it made sense, where he said that he feels like an antenna, and he's just got it up there.
I love that.
And he's just waiting to receive, and it's like a radio, and sometimes you can't get the station, and sometimes you can hear parts of it, and sometimes it's loud and clear, you know, and I just try to be open, you know.
I love how he described that.
Oh, it's a great book for creative people to, I mean, it's his version.
Yeah.
There's no one way. There is no one way.
That is the truth. And actually, like, talking to people, like I've gotten to do with this podcast, you hear their stories, and it's all over the map.
It's all over the map, and that's good.
It is, because there is no one way.
I mean,
it's just perseverance, I think.
Yeah, I think somebody said, you know, if you want to get to California, you can walk, you can take a bus, you can take a jet, you can take a private jet.
You could backpack.
You could drive, and you'll get there. But there are just so many different ways to get there. But as long as you get there.
To California, about your car breaking down in Nashville. I mean, that's your next inspiration, Bob.
I just might.
Okay, so you're the Hare and the Biscuit. That's where we stopped. I kind of sidetracked because your story is
I'm the
so
Hare and the
interesting.
Biscuit, so I'm hanging out.
This publishing company.
And I'm running into guys like me.
But when you're much younger and hadn't started.
Yeah, 20-something guys that come from all different parts of the country. And it's the first time I really met guys from the South. Like, I'm from Mississippi, I'm from Atlanta, I'm from Oklahoma, I'm from Texas,
yeah.
I'm from Florida. Well, I thought Florida was Miami Beach. No, Florida is deep country.
Yeah.
You know, but they all had the same passion I had. And so it was easy to connect with them, and we all wanted to write something, whether it was for our solo projects or we wanted to have songs to be recorded by the artists of the day. And so I fell in with these people and started writing with them. And I guess I turned in enough songs that finally this Bob Beckham said, I want to sign you to a deal, son. And
I love that you're turning in songs that you don't even have a publishing deal.
oh, no.
That,
no,
to
no,
me,
no, no.
Your heart, you have that eager heart. You wanted it.
Well, I wanted to show him. I wanted to show him how serious I was, and that I'm going to do this. And if you're with me, cool. And if you're not with me, I'm going to do it somewhere else. But it was in my heart to write these songs, you know. And so finally I said, I'm going to give you a deal, son. Yay! I'm going to give you $75 a week.
Okay.
Every week. And I'm
Was this
like,
a big deal?
wow. To me it was, because
Yeah.
someone was actually going to pay me to write songs.
That's a huge, like, validation.
Yeah, I'm this guy from Youngstown, Ohio that was getting paid, you know, $25 a night and all the beer I could drink in a bar band playing Brown Sugar or whatever the songs of the day were, you know. And this guy's paying me to write songs, so it was huge. And that's what I did. And I told you I was teaching guitar when I first moved to Nashville, so I would show up there, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'd just hang out. And then I'd start making writer appointments, and I'd write with my writer friends till about 3 o'clock, and then I'd have to go all the way up to Rivergate Mall, which is where I taught guitar in this real little music store. And I would teach guitar to all the kids from like 3:30 to whenever they stopped coming, you know. And then I'd come home and I'd ride by Combine to see if anybody was there, and if they were there, I was there, you know.
I
And
love your attitude.
I just did that.
But you have such an infectious personality too, that must have really shown how badly you wanted this. You know, he's got to love your perseverance.
Oh,
And then your talent on top of it.
Well, you know, Bob Beckham was an old school publisher, but a publisher nonetheless, just like, I don't know, Detroit Tomlinson is today a great publisher in our town right now, or Mark Brown, you know. They recognize talent.
and drive.
And drive. They recognize the package.
Because talent is no good without the
No.
drive.
They recognize the package.
Yeah.
He's got the talent. He's got the drive. Doesn't look like he's taking over an answer. And I think he's got delusions of grandeur. You know, so maybe it'll work
give
in
him a
his.
shot.
Let's give him a shot.
You know, when I first moved to town, I always felt like, how will people know that I want to be here, you know? And I do agree with what you're saying. Now that I've been here for almost 12 years, you can tell when someone wants it. It's not a regular thing. Not everyone has the drive. I think that's a key ingredient.
Yeah, I think it is too, and I think it's how you present yourself. You know, I mean, I think I'm a pretty good guitar player, but I never showed up with the attitude as I'm a really hotshot electric guitar player. Get ready for this, you know. Or someone, I mean, and honestly, I'm not, this is what I think. Or someone like you. You're a very beautiful woman, but you do not lead with that. You
Yeah.
don't lead with it. Whereas a lot of women lead with that. They lead with the sexual.
That lasts for 5 seconds.
It lasts
People
for,
are over.
yeah, but you lead with your heart, I feel.
Thank you, Bob.
You know, and I think that's why you're here and where you are right now, you know, and all the other stuff kicks in whenever, you know, that's just all this extra stuff you got to use, you know, but I think you lead with your heart, and I think I lead with my heart, and you
do.
can get hurt.
You can, but
Like that.
why not put yourself out there and see? You can also get a grandiose life, visions of grandiose.
Yeah, that's that, and yeah, so I just kept working.
So you got the publishing deal. How did it feel when you got inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame? Starting from this whole journey, now you've had all your number ones, all your success, and now you're getting inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I mean, are you like freaking out?
Yes. It really was like otherworldly. It was like a dream. It's like...
You dreamed of this since you were a kid.
Yeah, it's like I'm watching it happen from somewhere up here or something. Wow, look, there's Bob. And they're walking up and people are standing up and clapping, and I wasn't necessarily in the moment of, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm seeing this. It's just like it was almost an out-of-body experience, you know, and to see my peers and to see people like whoever was in the audience, Vince Gill, Garth Brooks, acknowledging my work.
And a lot of them having cut some of your songs.
And a lot of them have, both of those guys have cut one of my songs. and so it felt otherworldly, but I didn't feel like I shouldn't be there.
You felt like you deserved it. Had worked hard for it.
I had worked. I know the time I put in there, and I always tried to do my best work, and they were honoring me for my best work.
What's your motto with songwriting?
What's my motto?
Yeah, like what's your like go-to? What gets you up to do it every day?
Get up and put your pants on. Show up.
Show up.
Show up. Somebody wants to know the secret, that's the secret. Show up.
Are you okay if you have a day where you write a song that you don't feel like is great, or does that bum you out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a competitive creature, just like probably everybody else on Music Row. I want to write a great song, but as time has gone on, I've learned to accept that. I mean, it's like an athlete. Athletes don't have gold medal performances every day. You know, football players don't kill it. Cam Newton kind of sucked in the Super Bowl, you know, but I'm sure he's going to show up and play again and make great plays, but it's just part of the deal, you know. I hate it when that happens. But, I mean, yeah, just show up and just I really have never felt that I've competed with, I want to be just like whoever, Rodney Clawson. I want to be just like Mark Sanders. You know, I've always tried to just be the best Bob DiPiero. And mostly I compete with myself.
I think that's the ticket.
Yeah, and while being aware of what's around me, and I think songwriters are like reporters. You know, we're just reporting on what we see and what we feel and what we hear and what we think, you know. This is the daily news, you know.
Truly. Okay, so in the middle of all this, there was a moment where you were the Songwriter of the Year multiple times.
Yes.
What songs were you Songwriter of the Year for? Which is a huge prestigious honor for Nashville, to be honored by the entire community of songwriters, all of like the artists, it's the whole town.
Carolyn.
And you are the Songwriter of the Year.
Yeah. I can't even tell you what those songs were. I know during that period of time there were songs like Blue Clear Sky and Daddy's Money and Worlds Apart that I'd written with Vince and
you also got the Triple Play Award for a couple times during this season of life, which is where you have 3 number ones within 1 year. And I think, did you have a double Triple Play?
I had two. I've earned 2 Triple Play Awards.
So within 2 separate years, you've had 3 number ones.
Yes.
That's a big freaking deal.
It was a big freaking deal for me.
I'd say for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you know, these days guys are getting multiple triple plays a lot, but I think that's a result of the fact that our whole life is sped up.
That's true. That's
you know
true.
that our whole media wheel, our whole radio wheel, has just sped up, and they're just spitting them out as soon as they get to number one. Next, and the guys that are in the golden circle are, you know, it's time for me to get them, you know.
Yeah.
But I never had it in my mind that I was going to get 3 number 1 records in a year or do it twice.
I mean, that's insane. Okay, so I'm looking at Cleopatra, Clean Denial. I loved that song from Pam Tillis. You guys were married for a minute.
We were married for, it was 7 years we were married.
Did y'all just write songs all the time?
When we were around, when we were in songwriting mode.
Was that hard being married to an artist who's traveling all the time?
Well, I can only speak to my experience, and my experience was that when Pam's career as an artist started, she'd really been at it, trying to become an artist, and she got out to L.A. for a rock, pop, Madonna type deal at the time.
Oh, wow.
That didn't work, and so she'd been at it. She'd been knocking at it. But when we started dating, she was not, quote unquote, famous. She was Mel Tillis's daughter. That was the extent of her fame. And I was already in my role as a songwriter of note,
Yeah.
But Pam has always been a great songwriter, So as soon as we got married, the day we got married, her first single, Don't Tell Me What to Do, went number one.
I love that song.
Yeah, me too. Wish I'd written it. and immediately she was shot out of a cannon.
She's on the rocket.
She's on a rocket, and she's starting out, so her hubby Bobby is playing in the band.
Oh, okay.
I played guitar in the band. We traveled on the road. Mel Tillis, for his wedding present to us, gave us one of his old tour buses.
Are you? Well, you're in the industry when you get a tour bus.
Yeah, for a wedding present. And it was a real old tour bus, and it still had bus seats in it, but
gosh.
we have a bus.
Hell yeah.
So we just took off, and all of a sudden we were on the road more than we were home.
Was it fun?
It was fun until it wasn't fun,
Usually how it goes.
Yeah, and there was a time when we were really killing it as a couple, but there was always this competition thing going on that I was always, I'm not saying anything bad, but I was always like, hey, we're a team.
Yeah.
Isn't this great? Yay for us, and we were killing it. I think at one time, two of us had half of the top 10.
That's insane.
With her stuff, with my stuff, with our stuff together. Like I said, it was a lot of fun until it wasn't fun anymore. And just what happens? It's not a cliche that people break up that are in show business. Sometimes there's just impossible situations you find yourself in.
Why is that so many people break up in show business? But I think that's just a saying because people just break up in general, too.
People do break up in general. I think you're right, and I think it's just because they're famous and people love to follow people who are not even famous, but celebrities.
And they get invested in the relationship.
Right. Like the Kardashians are celebrities. They don't do anything, but they're celebrities. People know they are, and I think that kind of spotlight on you personally and your life. Being married is hard enough without somebody looking through your windows while you're being married.
Truly.
And that, at least this is my experience. I'm not Dr. Phil or anything.
I think you might be.
Just in my experience, that added to the insanity. Mm-hmm. And the success we were having was just beyond, and all that rolled into one, and all the little devils that come out from that, envy and, oh, look at that pretty woman, oh, look at that pretty guy, and all that stuff.
Yeah, when you're on top, everyone wants you.
Everyone wants you. And everybody is in your ear, and all of a sudden...
Sometimes the voices start screaming, I guess.
Well, sometimes you start listening to them more than you listen to your wife.
Yeah.
Or you start listening to your husband. Mm-hmm. You're listening outside of the marriage. And you're putting more weight on those voices rather than, your own voice as a couple and a married couple, you know.
Well, and I guess it's easy to get lost in that big fog because so many people are involved with you as a brand and a product, and they're invested in your life.
Yeah, and it threw me off balance, you know, because all these people are invested in your life, and all of a sudden it's just overwhelming, you know, and you know, drugs and alcohol didn't help.
So was that happening?
Oh yeah.
Do you think there's a way to be moderate, or is it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's hard to be moderate sometimes because it's. Don't you feel like in a way, in this industry, it's okay to like?
And I'm not talking about Pam. I'm talking about me.
Right. Don't you think it's sort of like okay to drink every day and? Okay
well, that's the deal. I mean, you are right. You know, in corporate America, you have to take piss tests and they check you to see if you're high. And here, it's almost like you got a mark against you if you don't drink.
It's true.
I remember going to a later publisher and telling her, "Listen, I've got to check out. I've got to go to rehab. I'm really in trouble, and I'm going to go to rehab to deal with this." And she was like on the phone and hanging her phone up, putting her leash on her dog, and she goes, "Oh, that's great. Tommy, someone who's the head of a record label in New York, he just went to one and he said he had a great time. I'll see you when you get back." And she just walked out. I'm telling her, I'm dying
like
here.
You're spiraling at your lowest moment.
I'm spiraling out of control. And she goes, "Okay, bye." Or I've heard people say, "I love to sign a writer if they're going through a divorce."
Because you know the inspiration is all over the place.
The pain.
The Pain writes great songs.
Yeah, and I have yet another old publisher who just had this slogan of pain and beauty. That's pain and beauty.
Like, be upset.
Yeah. Are you really upset? Good.
Great. Write a song.
Good. Write a song.
Double book yourself today.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not blaming anybody but me, you know, but that's involved. So
you decided to cut drugs and alcohol out of your life at some point.
That's right.
When did you decide? When did you decide it was time to ex-nay that?
When I felt that I was dying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had gotten that bad. It's not like I woke up from a hangover one day and said, "Ooh, I don't want to feel like this anymore." No, it was bad. It was bad. You know, all of the major food groups, I loved them all.
Like what?
Like marijuana, I was a wake and bake kind of guy.
Oh, okay. Did that help you write songs?
No. I thought it did. And to me, cocaine was this exotic, taboo drug, but that Duane Allman did a lot of cocaine, and I loved Duane Allman.
So it's okay.
Keith Richards did a lot of cocaine, and so I want to be like them. So I guess I'm going to do cocaine, you know, and I did it, and I liked it. And everything else that was there, and of course, alcohol was always there. And so at the end of my marriage to Pam, as soon as we got divorced, all of a sudden, I was partners in an independent publishing company called Little Big Town, which is where Little Big Town got their name from our publishing company. Because they came and asked us, "Well, you're not using your name anymore. Can we use it?" Which I came up with Little Big Town.
Bob DiPiero, the origin of Little Big Town.
And so we had sold this company to Sony, ATV, like so many corporations gobble up companies. And I just got dumped on this gigantic mountain of money. And I'd just gone through a divorce. And I was nuts.
Yeah.
And I had nobody to be accountable to. I was living here. My family was in Ohio. And I just went down the rabbit hole. And I had a housekeeper tell me that, I was always afraid I was going to come to clean your house and find you in your bed dead.
Really?
Yes. And so thank God I recognized that. And so I didn't know what to do about it. And so I called my old friend, Steve Earle.
Full circle.
Full circle, who I knew had gone through this and more. But I called him up and I said, Steve, man, I think I'm in really deep trouble. I think I said something funny like, I'm surrounded by the Peruvian army or something like that. You know, I can always make fun of anything. And I said, but I don't know what to do. And he said, well, man, I would suggest you go to rehab, and there's this place in Minnesota called Hanley Hazleton, and that's a great place. And I went there. But still, in my brain at the time, I was going, I'm not going to Minnesota in February.
Freezing.
You kidding me? So I started looking around, you know, and I found a branch of Hanley Hazleton in West Palm Beach, Florida. So
Good thinking.
I think I'll go there. You know, it had nothing to do with help. I'm in trouble.
It's like,
but-
where's the scenery night?
Yeah, I mean, where's the sun? I want to go there. You know, if I would have known about Eric Clapton's rehab place in the Caribbean islands, I would have gone there.
Oh, that's the way to go.
You know, but I didn't. I showed up there, and it.
Did you get it right the first time?
I got it right the first time.
So you
I
were
have no
ready.
idea why.
Well, I think isn't it part of the saying, like, you have to want it yourself?
Yeah, I think they say
No one can
you have to
force you
be
into it.
willing as only the dying can be to want it, you know, and I was willing. And I was willing to do anything.
Was it hard to give it up? Or were you just so ready?
I was just so ready. I had scared myself sober. And I knew I couldn't do it myself. And so I went there, and I was still an asshole when I first got there. It was a bunch of bullshit, psychobabble. I think this is a cult. It sucks. You know, and then one day while I was there, I just woke up and I was like, oh, I think this can help me, you know. And I have no idea why I've been sober this long.
How many years have you been sober?
A couple weeks ago, it was 14 years.
High five, Bob! That's freaking awesome.
Knowing that I could leave this interview and go jump off the liquor.
The bandwagon. That's the thing. It's a daily, every day.
Yeah.
It's a daily
And some
decision.
days it's so easy I never think about it. And some days it's not so easy, but that's part of the deal. But I know this. I know that had I continued on, I would have probably died, and I would never have met Leslie,
Who's your wife now?
who's my wife now. It's probably my first sober relationship, probably since high school.
And she's
She's
angel.
like beyond. I don't deserve her, you know. But I was clear-headed. I was sober. I'd been sober for a couple of years before I'd ever met her, and that's when I found that I always thought that I wrote all these songs because I did drugs. But what I came to find out was I wrote all these songs in spite of doing all these drugs. Because after I got clean and sober, I went on I kept having hits. Kept having the, you know, If You Ever Stop Loving Me and Southern Voice and on and on and on.
So is that a huge moment of like relief in a way, and then also like freedom?
It's a feeling of awakening and knowing something I didn't know.
Like you didn't have to depend on anything anymore.
Yeah, and just I had this all wrong.
Really? What did you have wrong?
I thought that if I got high, that it was cool and it helped me be here. And all my friends drink until they fall over, and I want to hang out with them, and so I'm going to drink till I fall over. Well, some of my friends can do that and then go home and they're over it. But me, I keep going. You know, so I figured that out about myself. And
you're smart enough to do something about it.
yeah, but I'm not strong enough that I can pull this off myself. You know, so I do all the deal. I go to the meetings, and thankfully my wife has been a great help. You know, she gets it. She's
That's awesome.
what I call a civilian. She doesn't have this ism.
Yeah.
And,
Ism.
you know, and most of my friends get it.
Yeah. Well,
They all get it, and some don't. And I'm not that good of friends with them anymore.
yeah. That's amazing, Bob. I mean, that's almost probably as big of an accomplishment as these songs on your wall.
It is to me,
Yeah.
knowing what I know now. I mean, I get this. I know it's amazing.
Yeah. The
really-
wall literally has like 50 number one songs. on it.
I get this, and I'm now able to take in where before I didn't know what I was taking in.
You're just in it.
I was just high.
Yeah.
I was high and I was in it, So here we are, 2016, and I just got done writing a really good song today.
Called Dirty Love. Okay, so we got to wrap up, even though it's
Yes.
been an hour. I want to talk to you forever because you probably are one of the most interesting humans on earth. Your story's so colorful.
Yes, I'm a colorful guy.
You are a colorful guy.
Look at my phone. It's colorful.
It's bright red. Okay, so I like to end all of my interviews with something I call Leave Your Light. So leave me some inspiration. Like inspire us with something that means something to you or has inspired you or that you want to inspire on others.
I think if you want a life in the creative arts, especially in the entertainment business, whether you're a songwriter or an entertainer, always have the heart of a student. Be willing to learn. Be willing to try stuff that you've never tried. Be open to it. And have fun while you're doing it, because sometimes that fun is all you're going to get out of it. So have a good time while you're doing this. Have fun.
I love that. Even if fun's all that it is.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times, write a great song. Man, we had a great time, and nothing ever comes of the song, but we had a good time while we were doing it, But go after what you want. Go after your dreams. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want.
And be the hair in somebody's biscuit.
Be the hair in somebody's biscuit. Just show up. And I will say that there's a fine line between stalking and networking. And you need to find out where your line is. That line between being a pest and pestering and networking, or how to speak to somebody, or how to show up just enough or at the right time.
That's an art.
That is an art. It's very much part of being in the music business.
Yeah, I love
And you can figure it out, but you have to know who you are. So if you don't, find out.
I love that. Bob DiPiero, thank you so much for interviewing with me.
Thank you, Caroline. I enjoyed every minute of
This
it.
was amazing.
Thank you. Yay!
Okay, bye.